Hey, it's your host, Boogie, and this is From a Mustard Seed, a podcast created to help each other navigate life through faith, fun, and a little bit of foolishness. Together, we will laugh, cry, have aha moments, feel empowered and inspired. From a mustard seed to our legacy, and all that lies in between. This was created for you. Hello and welcome to From a Mustard Seed. I'm Boogie, and today's topic, we're going to be talking about Black women and emotional acceptance. So first, what I want to do is tell you about these eyes. So, if you haven't, I am like clearance queen, dupe queen, stuff that looks like more expensive stuff but don't cost the bucks. That is she. So I just wanted to share one of the things that I love to use is the Makeup Revolution Reloaded Iconic Forever palette. So it has like all of these neutrals that are great for my skin tone, then it's kind of hard for me to find all of those on one palette for a palette for $7. So I just wanted to tell you guys about that. And then another one, I'm loving Target, y'all. This one is the Profusions Metallics. So these colors are amazing. They're like super pigmented. They come with a brush. Let me see if I can open it so you guys can kind of, I don't know if you can see that. But yeah, it's great and it's only $10. And you get 24 shades, so it's amazing. And I have like really small eyes, so it's hard for me. I'm learning, but it's hard for me to do my eyes. So learning how to do makeup too, like you don't want to spend a whole lot of monies. Yeah, that's my bye for this. But to get into the topic, so Black women and emotional acceptance. One of the reasons why I decided to do this topic is because I found myself being a culprit of enacting this on other people, and then at one point in time I was going through some health problems and I wasn't really sure about the outcome of that, and I felt like I just really needed support in that moment, and it was really hard for me to find that in my female friends, and even just to find a point of feeling like I could trust somebody enough to tell what was going on with me. And I had to figure out, like, what is that? And, and being a Black woman, I feel like I've experienced that a lot. And so I wanted to talk about it. So that's what today's podcast is about. So I feel like I write down my notes because I'm not like good at remembering things. I don't know if it's like mommy brain, and I probably can't use that excuse because my son is 10, but I still use that excuse. So part of self-care is having people you can trust, that you feel you can be honest with, you can be vulnerable with, you can be open with about what's going on in your life. And that's very, very important for your emotional well-being. It is very difficult to go through life and experience trauma, experience pain, experience uncertainty, and not have, excuse me, I'm gonna close this window. Let's get the nerves in it. LA, but it's cold. And not have anybody to talk to about that. And so seeking some emotional support is healthy. But as I said, in my experience and through my own behaviors, we don't always know how to respond to people's emotions. We don't know how to respond to openness or vulnerability. And I think growing up, especially growing up in a home where I was raised by a single mom, growing up in the Black church, and all churches really, because all churches that I've been to kind of, well, no, it's mainly the the Black churches. We learn to try and resolve moments of emotional vulnerability with mantras, right? With inspirational quotes, with scripture. And it can when you do that, it can be more hurtful than helpful. It's more dismissive than it is supportive. And emotional acceptance is a core functionality in the act of supporting somebody, right? And healthy support for someone to feel like their feelings matter, that you have validated them, and that you care. And so as a Black woman, especially Black women raised by single mothers, we are expected to stay strong. You keep pushing through any circumstance, because for many, that was the example, right? You were raised by a single mom. I know for me, myself, my mom, I rarely saw her cry or break down over anything. And it was very hard for her to translate her emotions to me. And for her to accept my vulnerability or validate my vulnerability. So if I had something I was sad about or unhappy about, I really had to kind of suppress my own emotions. And it was taught to me, I definitely think, as a survival tactic, right? You don't let anything really hurt you that bad, or you want to be more giving, right? So you're more, if you're going to be more giving, you have to be strong. It's hard to be giving in the sense that you're giving of yourself to all of these things and all of these people and all these requirements, and painting this pretty picture if you're a broken mess, right? But sometimes that broken mess is the strongest picture that you can paint. And so we find ourselves in a situation where attempting to be vulnerable with somebody sometimes, especially if you learn that at an early age from your parent, and they kind of shut down those feelings with toxic positivity, it can really cause damage later on down the line when you're forming other relationships, when you're trying to trust people to be vulnerable with them because you have experienced that before. It's, as an adult now, I know that when we do things like that, we have the best intentions. We believe that if we shut down negative talk and only allow positive talk, we'll force the person's focus on the positive, and they'll somehow magically be okay, right? If I just make you think about positivity and focus on all the good things in your life and tell you how grateful you should be, you're somehow magically going to forget about and excuse all of the things that are happening with you, right? And all of a sudden you're just going to be happy. And life really doesn't work that way. Validation of a person's feelings is just as important as giving them hope, right? So you need both. You need validation and you need to give them hope. And giving a person hope doesn't mean blindly encouraging them to stay in a situation, blindly giving them hope that their job is one day gonna get better, things are gonna get better. That may be affecting their quality of life. If something's really depressing somebody, if something's really harmful to somebody on an emotional or mental level, sometimes we need to tell them, hey, maybe you need to give that up. Maybe you do need to give that job up. It seems like it's not healthy for you. Maybe you do need to tell a family member, hey, I need to set boundaries. Maybe you do need to reevaluate your relationship. Sometimes what we think of as giving up is letting go of what God does not mean for us so that we can make room for what God does mean for us. So keeping that in mind, if you don't let a person fully express their emotions and why they're feeling the way that they feel. Sometimes we'll answer something without even knowing why that person really feels the way that they feel, or really thinking about, dang, if I was in that situation, how would I feel? How would I want somebody to respond to me? And that's part of that whole empathy thing, right? And understanding that emotions are normal. It's normal to feel sad sometimes. It's normal to feel, anxious. It's normal to feel overwhelmed. That is normal. So to make anyone feel like there's something wrong with them or they're not as strong if they have these types of emotions is a false narrative that we really have to remix, right? We really have to recreate that thing. They aren't weak moments. They are honest moments. And honest moments take courage. It's way more courageous to be honest about how you feel, to be honest about what's going on with you, than it is to kind of have this really hard exterior on the outside and just be really, really fragile on the inside. And so, sorry, Venting about your reality is acceptable. It's your reality. And we don't always need to be reeled in from our truth. If our truth is our truth, we should feel free enough in the relationships that we have to reveal that. And it is okay. It don't make you weak. It don't make you less than, because we're not in competition. We don't have to one-up each other. And if we feel like in a friendship that we're in competition, we're not really friends, and maybe we need to reevaluate this whole thing. And maybe I need to reevaluate the way that I look at myself compared to other people. Because there's nothing about me in any situation that makes me any less than anybody else, because we are all unique in our purpose, in our walk. So I may not be where you're at, or your relationship may be on 100 and mine's may be on -2. I can't compare my relationship to yours, and I can't be afraid to say, girl, yes, this is going on and this really sucks. And for my friend to be like, girl, I understand. Like, I can see how that sucks. And me not feel like this person is pitying me or looking down on me or making me feel less than. So how can you give advice and not cut the full picture short? Really be present with your friend, really be engaged and listen. And know that just because you vent doesn't mean you are ungrateful. God knows your story, and sometimes you need to let it out and let it go. The worst thing to do is when you're in a really vulnerable, because I know for me, like when I was in a really vulnerable state and I was really worried about a possible cancer diagnosis. And you know, I had talked to a friend and they were like, don't worry about it. You're going to be okay. Don't even think like that. Like, everything's going to be fine. And I just felt completely shut down, and I felt like I was wrong for thinking like that. And it made my anxiousness, if you can believe it or not, even worse. Because then I was dealing with all these things on the inside. I was dealing with these thoughts of, you know, well, maybe I am being ungrateful. I felt like I didn't have anybody really to talk to that I could be honest with these things about. I felt like I was isolated, and I felt really, really alone. And especially as women and Black women in this world, we need to feel like we have other people in our lives that we can be vulnerable with, we can be honest with, and we feel like they're genuinely understanding of the things that we are going through. And so with that, I have found, because my good friend, she had posted on her Instagram some good tools to use when we're dealing with emotional acceptance. And I know the like buzzword right now is like toxic positivity. Everything's toxic. But I like emotional acceptance, so I'm sticking with it. Some ways to practice emotional acceptance is practicing validation and hope, as opposed to toxic positivity or shutting emotions down. So for instance, this is hard, you've done hard things before, and I believe in you, right? It's so much better than, oh, you'll get over it. Okay. I know there's a lot that could go wrong. What could go right? And not but what could go right, but you know, what can go right? Kind of changing that person's train of thought to think about what are the things that could possibly go right without invalidating the fact that a lot of shit is going wrong right now. And not just saying, you know, just be positive. Things will get better, just be positive. All vibes are welcome here, not good vibes only. Because then you're shutting your people out. So now I feel like I can't hang with you because I'm having a bad day. And maybe I need for you to cheer me up. Maybe I'm calling you like, hey girl, I had a really crappy week. Can we do a Taco Tuesday? I need it today. You know, and I want to feel like I can do that with my friends. And not feel like, oh, here comes negative Nancy. Again, you know, we need positive Patty, because I'm not always going to be laughs and giggles. It's pretty normal to feel down in this situation, because some situations, it's pretty normal to feel down. Stop being so negative. Wait, no. It's not being negative. It's recognizing, hey, this doesn't make me feel good and I need to talk about it. Now, if you see that your friend every time you're trying to throw like a little silver lining after letting them vent, they keep going down and down into a spiral hill, then I think at that point you need to kind of, hey, we're not doing that. Like, you know, because sometimes you do have people that just want to be in this negative space and keep spiraling down. And that is very different than somebody who just needs to let it go and then is willing to listen to feedback and needs that positive hope and support. It's probably pretty hard to be positive in this situation right now. I'm putting out good energy. I'm praying for you, girl. Let's pray right now. As opposed to think happy thoughts. Go and pray about it. Right? I'm in this with you and I'm here to support you through this. And I want you to know that. Everything is not meant for us. Sometimes giving up is okay. What is your ideal outcome? What do you want out of life? What makes you happy? Okay, so then let's do that. Not never give up. Because some stuff you just gotta throw it in the trash. You know what I'm saying? It's just not for you. Just, you know, throw that thing in the trash. It's never fun to feel like that. Is there something we can do today that you'll enjoy? Or, you know, what you want to do today? You need me to come over? You know, something like that. Not just be happy, which translates to, I don't have time for this. I got stuff to do today. I'll call you in a week, girl. You know. And sometimes on the opposite end of that, I will say that we don't all know how to deal with our own emotions. And when we give that toxic positivity, it's because that's what we're feeding ourselves to get by. Because we don't feel like we can be vulnerable with another person. We don't feel like we can release to another person. And we're carrying all this stuff inside. And if I carry yours too, I think I just might break. So I've got to give you the same things that I'm telling myself in order to survive. And my whole point of this is that hopefully it'll inspire somebody to kind of think about how they approach problems, how they approach dealing with people's emotions, and not only your friends or your lovers, but your children, because your children are going to grow up to be adults, and the way that you teach them to deal with their emotions, that's how they're going to act in the world. So really breaking that cycle with the next generation. I hope this was helpful for everybody. If it was, please comment below. If you would like to double click that button just to subscribe or like, that would be great too. And hopefully I will be posting a video like this regularly every week. It's also available on my podcast, which is on Anchor, Spotify, Stitcher, and Google Play. Okay, well, everybody have a great rest of your weekend, and I will holla at you later. Bye.